Happy Friday. Today's home workout is for time 12 minutes. You can cap yourself or you can keep a continuous timer. 21-15-9 of chest to bar pull-ups, overhead squats, bar facing burpees. Now, for the pull-ups today, if you don't have a pull-up station or anything like that, feel free to use that towel that you'll put against your door frame to be able to use it for a pull-up station. Overhead squats today, if you don't have a barbell, go single arm, or even find yourself a broomstick or something that you can hold overhead comfortably, really trying to engage that back and go for alternating lunges if you don't have the mobility to do the squat. Bar facing burpees, have some kind of object that's about a foot off the ground that you can do your burpee behind and then jump straight over it facing the object. So a couple of different ways to kind of adjust it for today if you don't have the equipment for it. So it's definitely a home-friendly workout here. So intent of this workout, guys, you want to keep a high intensity. So that means choosing progressions today that will allow you to do that. So if you find that the pull-ups, if you have a pull-up station and it's too challenging to do the pull-ups in 2 sets or less, then you probably want to go over to a bent over row or even do those towel pull-ups instead. Overhead squats, again, it'll depend on where your progression, your mobility is at with this movement, how comfortable you are. Pick something here that you can move quickly and be confident that you're holding those right positions. So don't try to do something new for this workout because then you'll miss the intent of the workout there. Bar facing burpees, you guys should be fine with this. Just keep a good pace with it. As you progress down to the 9s, increase your pace and you should be able to kind of sprint it off at the end since it's the last movement you'll be completing. 12 minutes is a time cap that we put for today's workout for our class. It'll be a good cap to put for yourself to kind of make sure you're within that zone that or that zone that will allow you to get to that intensity. So if you start putting 20-25 minutes onto this, you'll be going more into the aerobic zone. We want to be in the anaerobic zone where we're kind of feeling that burn in our legs and our lungs when we're doing this workout. So you could put a 12-minute cap on this. If you happen to go a little bit over, that's okay. But again, try to see if you can go sub 12 for the workout today. Once you finish that workout, we're going to do some strengthening with our afterburners. So 5 sets of 5 and 5 strict press, followed by 5 and 5 single arm fly. So really trying to reinforce those upper body positions, making sure we have that awareness, and again, strengthening those positions after we've done those overhead squats and chest to bar pull-ups. Always great to do that after a workout, kind of as a cool down, and to make sure we're maintaining those positions, maintaining that musculature around that area. So overall, great workout today, guys. A fast one today and then a good cool down to kind of strengthen those areas. Hope you guys enjoy the workout and the afterburner today. We'll see you guys next for the warm-up. All right, so for today's warm-up, we're starting off with 3 rounds, 10 alternating arch raises. So we're gonna come down to the floor, staying in our Superman position here, also known as a Superman. Going for those arch raises, so we're going to lift the arm and the leg at the same time, but the opposite limb, so cross body there. We're gonna go for those 10 reps there, really trying to squeeze our glute and our upper back as we do the alternating arch raises. Once we finish that, guys, we're gonna go into a dead bug. And if you like, you can use a weight here for the arm raises in the dead bug. So you'll go into that dead bug position, legs straight, try to have that tailbone on the floor. From there, you're just going to be dropping that arms down, really trying to catch you in the core, in those lats as well. We're going to be going for 10 reps here. As you do this, guys, I like to think about kind of squeezing the dumbbell together to really engage my lats as I'm coming down and up from that arm raise. As you do that, don't forget about your core. Keep it tight, keep your legs nice and straight, tailbone on the floor. Once you finish that, we're gonna go into 10 alternating reverse lunges. So if you want, use weight. I'm gonna show you guys body weight version for today. For the alternating reverse lunge, starting about a squat stance, you're gonna send that foot directly back, so don't bring it inwards or outwards. Bring it straight back into that lunge, chest up, knee or shin is nice and vertical to the floor. I'm nice and tall. Then I'm going to use that front foot to drive myself up forward. So I'm going to lift myself up through there, trying not to use the back leg as much. We're trying to activate that hamstring, glute, and keep that chain, core chain nice and tight as we do that. Once you finish that, we're going to repeat that for 2 more rounds of the alternating arch raises, those Deadbug Arm Raises, and those alternating reverse lunges. Once we finish the 3 rounds, we're just going to do 1 set to prime that upper body. We're going to go for 20 wall squats. So this is my setup here, guys. I don't want to talk to the wall, so pretend this line right here is my wall. I want to start off maybe about a foot away, depending on what your mobility is like. You're going to get your hands overhead, so pretend there's a wall here. I'm going to get my hands overhead, and I'm going to come down to the bottom of that squat, and then back up again. So we're really trying to use this to prime ourselves for the overhead squat. If you feel comfortable, you can keep a good tight core. Notice and also avoiding that butt wink at the bottom. So if I'm coming down, my butt is kind of wrapping down. If I can avoid that, then I can get a little bit closer to the wall, make it a little bit more challenging. So I can walk a little bit closer. Now I'm about half a foot away, still keeping my arms overhead, and then again going for that overhead squat, or that wall squat against the wall there. 20 reps there, break it up, 4 sets of 5, or just do 1 break, just kind of play around with it. Good for mobility, great strengthening, opening up the hips and kind of mimicking that overhead squat position. Once you're done that, grab your PVC, broomstick, whatever object you have that will kind of mimic that bar. We're going to go for 5 overhead squats. Biggest thing I like to say for the overhead squats, guys, is those scaps. When your shoulder blades, try to squeeze them together and slightly pinch them upwards. So we don't want to push them up where we're shrugging our shoulders, and we also don't want to just retract them. I want you to retract and slightly push upwards so we can stabilize that bar overhead in all its directions, okay? So to do that, guys, start with the PVC behind your back, get into your snatch with or overhead squat position with. That means just bring it to your hips, bring your knee up. If your elbow bends, so let's say I'm here, my elbow's bent, I need to go wide enough that my elbows are straight, then that would be my ideal overhead squat position that you can work with for today. Once I'm there, PVC directly over top the base of my neck. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together and slightly pinching upwards, not overly, just a little bit. Elbows are locked out. Both the bony points of my elbow are pointing backwards at about a 45-degree angle. Nice and tight, core is tight. And now I'm coming down to the bottom of my overhead squat, looking straight ahead, holding that for 10 seconds, then coming back up. Obviously that wasn't 10 seconds, but for your warm-up, I want you to hang out at the bottom 10 seconds, keep it light, feel that position out. If you need to go up a little higher in your squat, go for it. This is good to kind of feel out the position, just like we did with the wall squats prior to that. We're kind of putting it together with that overhead squat. And as you feel comfortable, add weight if you want throughout the 5 reps. Make it a little bit more challenging, or even build up to your workout weight. Okay, so that will be the warm-up for today. We'll see you guys next for the movement standards.
Off with a bent over row. So in that bent over row, feet are hip width apart, knees are perpendicular, don't round your back, so flat back. If you're feeling tight, maybe you're up a little bit more, that's fine. If possible, drop down. From here, guys, you're gonna row that bar, in my case, as close as you can to the body. So if I had a single object, I'm still thinking about nice and tight with my elbows, not to the body, but the back, to allow me to mimic that tight bar path that I can get with a PVC pipe or bar.
Pass-throughs. So your arms are going to be fully locked out. Start off on the outside edge of that PVC, and we're just going to go front to back a couple times. Now, notice how Yash is keeping those shoulders down. It's common that we want to shrug the shoulders up in pass through, we want to try to keep the shoulders down. If that feels really easy, you can bring your hands in closer and closer until it gets to the point where it kind of gets to a point at in the overhead where it's sticky. There's a spot where it's just really hard to get through without bending those elbows. So when you find that spot, that's a great spot to start for that overhead squat. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the positioning in our upper back and shoulders. So what Yash is doing is he's actually rotating. So if I were to grab his arm and rotate it, he's trying to get the armpits pushing forward and the elbow pits pointing upwards. Once he gets into that lockout position, he's going to pinch those shoulder blades together. He's trying to get the insides of those shoulder blades closer towards each other, and he's trying to think of getting that whole shoulder blade kind of tucked into his back pocket. So he's pulling those shoulder blades down, pinching them together. Once you get into that position, we're just going to come down into our squat. So you can see Yash is going to start slowly coming down. He's got good mobility. Obviously, he practices this position since he was about 12 years old. So he's got a good spot here at the bottom. If you can look forward for me there, Yash, you want to keep that head and neck in that neutral position, squeezing those shoulder blades together, weights on the heels. You can come up there, Yash. So
those bar facing burpees or that object facing burpee, make sure you do the burpee in front of that object. As you come up, you guys can step, or you guys can bring both feet in to make that transition a little bit faster. So with that step in, might be a little bit easier on the lungs, and it gives you a little bit more time to kind of recover there. Though, if you want to go a little bit faster, or you're in that end range, so you got that last minute to finish up those 15, let's say you got 5 more reps and you have only 15 seconds to go, that's kind of where you can quickly get some time. So bring your feet in, jump right over top of that object, and get ready for that next one. Alright, so we're here for the afterburner, 5 sets, 5 and 5 strict press, and then 5 and 5 single arm flies. So I got a dumbbell and a plate here. You guys can use whatever you have at home. Keep it light for the first couple rounds so you can really feel the upper back and use the proper muscles before you start getting heavy with this. So I'm going to demo with the 5-pound plate here. For the strict presses and the flies today, guys, let's try and focus on the positioning of our scap. So it's very common with the press, for example, to kind of almost overreach with that shoulder. So we're kind of pushing that shoulder out of its socket. I want you to keep the shoulder down. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge if you haven't done this or thought about this before, but keep the shoulder down. Think about pulling the shoulder blades towards each other, so squeezing them together to set that shoulder. Then from there, only just drive through that elbow as you go up and controlling the way down as you come down. Just make sure that shoulder is not moving out of its place. Kind of think of that as its foundation. Keep that foundation nice and strong. So holding it down with those lats, that's serratus, keeping it in that proper position, and then only just using that elbow to extend that weight overhead there. 5 reps there, guys, and then 5 reps on the opposite side. Feel free to use any position, so you can sit on the floor, legs straight, or in a straddle position. You guys can try anything for that strict press. For the flies, same idea here, guys. It might be a little bit harder to notice, but sometimes when you try to lift that weight up and it's a little bit too heavy, we almost want to use a little bit more of the traps to kind of lift it up to compensate. So again, right before you start, squeeze those shoulder blades together, keep that scap down, and then keep it slight bend in the elbow. Don't worry about keeping it nice and straight at first. Slight bend in the elbow, lift as high as you can while keeping that shoulder blade down, and then back down again. If it's only up to here, don't worry about going up in weight. Just try to see if you can go up a little bit higher each time without letting that shoulder roll forward or in any direction. So keep that nice and stable, and then increase your range of motion. Once you're comfortable getting it up to that shoulder height, at least, then you guys can go up in weight. Same thing as you can do it from a bent over position. So I'll bend over at the hips, slight bend in the elbow there, and then I'm going to think about pulling that weight out to the side. While I do that, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together and making sure I'm not shrugging forward. I'm keeping the shoulder blade down. So enjoy this one, guys. 5 and 5 reps on each side. Great unilateral work to work on that balance of the strength on both sides. Increase in weight if it feels good. If not, just work on the positioning of the shoulder blades. See you guys tomorrow for the next workout.